project that you are creating in Struts. The structure is slightly different from the one that you see in NetBeans. So at the top, this is the general structure. We are supposed to have a folder. So this is your project folder. We are supposed to have a folder webin. This is required by, as far as the Sun Microsystem specification that was given during the earlier times. Every project that you create ultimately has to be somehow compiled down to this particular structure. So there must be a web.inf. Inside that you must have a web config as well as struts.config.xml. Okay, this is the general structure. Now if you are using NetBeans, it may be shown in some other folder, or if you use Eclipse or any other IDE, it may show the files in a different folder, but ultimately during the compilation it must come to the same place. Inside this webin, you are supposed to have the libraries. Now these are the common libraries that are required by the Struts. We don't use libraries at the other place. You might have noticed that when you are using the NetBeans, the libraries were kept, they were shown at some different places. But when you are creating the final web archival or WAR file, it must be in this format. Then you are supposed to create, inside this you are supposed to create your own files, that is your own Java classes. So you can have, you notice over here there is no .java file here because this is the compiled version. This is not the one that you are developing. During the developing you can put it here and there, but when you finally deploy it onto the server, it must look like the structure must look like this. Now inside these classes you are free to create your own structure and keep it, but the things must be in a proper way. So this is how it goes. What is important is these libraries. Struts.jar must be there. Somehow it must be available either to your either it is embedded within your project, or it must be available to the server via its own configuration. Otherwise things won't go. Okay, this is the main part of your Struts. It is contains all the like your action servlet and all the other things that you are thinking of using. The action forms, action servlet, and the request processor. Every class that they have derived, all of them will be available under struts.jar. The next one is bean utilities. This helps you to interact with the Java beans that you are creating. Now I will go back a bit. You are going to create some model here, or you are going to create some additional classes over here. Most of them will be bean. To interact with them, you need to use the bean. You are using the Java struts tag, not the Java the struts tag, that is the bean tag. Now the bean tag classes, whenever you say bean.write or bean colon message, some Java has to be run, and that is all the Java that is required for that will be available here. The next one, that is this one, and the next one will help you to interact with the XML. Now you will notice here that there are XML files are there, either this web.xml or strutsconfig.xml. In order to interact with them, you need to write, somebody, either you or somebody has to write some Java in order to interact with them, and the classes that are required to interact with the XML files will be available under this. Okay, so let's look at the different struts tag. I will briefly go through all the different tags because there are a lot of applications. As and when we develop our application, we may use some of them. Again, I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going to use all of them. So let's look at the different tags which are available. When we use the struts, struts comes out with the 5 different tags. One is this HTML tag, bean tag, logic tag, nested tag, and the other one is actually a plugin, that is the tiles plugin. We will see that tiles plugin as a separate part during the lab as well as maybe during other classes. Now let's look at what is the use of this HTML. Now you have already used some of the, or at least you have created 1 or 2 applications in Struts. So you know very well that HTML tags are nothing but they are the tags which are identical to the ordinary HTML that you are writing. So you have the tags for creating forms, the tags for creating the input, submit button, text boxes, and all together. So there is one-to-one relationship between them. Then you may be wondering why they have created it. The answer was very obvious. When you are using those tags, they automatically interact with the bean. So when you say HTML and text box, when you created your project, let me go back to the project that we have created. So I'm going just to open one project. I think this is the dummy project. So when you created this HTML and something, okay, so HTML and let's say text, and you said property equal to phone, and you know very well this phone is connected to one of the action forms that was created. So somewhere there is an action form and there is one field called as phone in some Java class, and this is the connection between them. Okay, we even though they are all Java classes, we are calling them as bean because you know very well bean is a Java class, an ordinary Java class with some constraints inside it, and the constraints are the fields are not directly exposed to the world. There are getters and setters to interact with them. Okay, so this HTML tag allow us to easily interact with the components which are there with the controller or which are there with the views. So that's the reason why we are using it. Also, they help us to get some special objects like the messages, the errors, or maybe to generate the hyperlink. The next set of tags are that they are there for the bean, and you know very well in order to interact with the bean, you can get the properties of the bean, you can create a reference to the bean, you can even get some of the components like the bean, which is you can even place the bean at a different scope like a session scope or the request scope. That can be done using this bean tag. Okay, usually these beans are used for accessing the properties within the bean. Apart from that, you can also get some special objects like cookies. You can get the headers and the parameters that are passed to the bean. I will show you an example slightly later. I'm just going through the overall picture of these tags. The two reasons why we have to use the bean is, one is for the internationalization. If you want your pages to be shown in different languages in different countries, then you have to get the static text from the resource bundle. You are already familiar with this resource bundle from your at least Android. So most of the time we are not writing the static text and we are writing it in a separate file, and we take all the pain in reading it back from a text file. If you're still wondering why we have to do that thing, is the reason behind it is the internationalization. You can on a fly, you can immediately change the text from English to Chinese or French or anything. It goes seamlessly. It is part of the Java itself. It's not just a part of the enterprise edition. Ordinary Java will also do the same thing. So you can write an ordinary Java application, the Swing application, and if you follow the same routine like how we are doing, the text messages, the static text messages, you put it on a resource bundle. You can on-fly change the resource bundle depending upon the country or the locale of the customer and show a message in different language. That's the one reason. The other reason why we have to use the beam is we can avoid writing we can avoid embedding direct Java into our application. And we know very well embedding direct Java is nothing but writing scriptlet. And I have already told you long ago, if you write the Java within the JSV, the page will clutter, and after some time it really becomes impossible for anybody to go through or read and understand what that page is supposed to do. So it is always advisable to avoid Java into the JSP pages. The way in which we can do it is by using the beam. The next set is the logic. Logic has to do with the conditioning. So you can conditionally execute something, you can repeat some steps, that is nest or iterate through some properties or collection, or you can test whether the value is equal to that, or this kind of logical testing can be done with the logic tag. There is the other type of tag, and that is called as nested. The nested tag is usually meant to be used when you have nested properties. What is the meaning of saying nested properties? An object may contain one of the field as one more object. For example, you may have a object called as student. Student has name, course, and maybe address. Now the address itself can be an object. Now you can create a object called as address that contains the fields like city, state, pin code, house number, and so on. So when you put this address into student, you get a kind of nested object, one object inside the other object. So a student object will contain a address object, or student object may contain course object, this kind of thing. When you have, that is the usual general way in which everybody develops the application. When you have this kind of nested, one object placed inside the other, if you are directly using them, then you have to put the dot, like how you have done it in your C program and other thing. Std dot address dot city. So it becomes very difficult to write the fully qualified name. You can avoid them by using the nested tag. The last one is meant for tiles. I will not waste my time in discussing about tiles because we will be using one tile layout, at least one demo in the lab, wherein you will be able to appreciate what is the good thing about or what are the good qualities of using tiles and why you are supposed to use tiles. And this idea has been used almost everywhere. The same concept is used in other frameworks also. Now let's come back to the details about the HTML tags. How do we use this HTML tag and what are the prerequisites for using HTML tag? Whenever you have used the HTML tag, we have bothered only about this line, and in the Java we wrote taglib equal to some URL and we use the prefix HTML. Let me remind you, for those who have written some answers regarding the JSTL tag, whenever you are writing the answers during the examination, the prefixes should be standard one. Do not change the prefix. Okay. For example, one question was asked: write the core JSTL tags. The prefix for core is C. That's I told you, it's a convention. It is not required that you have to write C. Nobody has put a rule saying that it must be C. It could be A, B, C, D up to Z. It is possible. But that is possible when you are writing a practical exam, because your code is going to execute, and if the machine is able to interpret that A, B, C, D up to Z, then it's well and fine. We have no objection. But when you are writing the examination, that is the theory examination, if you change the extension, that is the prefixes, then it is considered to be void. because we don't expect you to show your additional intelligence. We expect you to know what is the standard. Okay, so one of you have used a different. You have used JSP as the prefix. Now JSP, when you start with the JSP, actually there is a built-in JSP prefix that are part of JSP pages. Okay. So when you try to use it, it is a confusing thing. So in the theory examination, don't try to confuse the examiner who is correcting your paper. So it is better you stick on to the standard one. Always standard one pays, and you have been given the standard marks. So if you get exceptionally good marks, then you can write something better, and you can't expect that. Okay? Don't expect me to give you exceptionally high marks. So write a standard thing, and you are going to get it. Now let me come back to this part that I was discussing, and this is, where is it? You have not done it, but when you created a project in NetBeans actually added this part into web.xml. So let me go to the web.xml. This is the file I'm referring to. This is a standard file. You have not typed it, but if you are using Eclipse, or if you join a company where they are not using NetBeans, then you are supposed to write this section. It is not coming for free with any Java. They are not giving it because it's Struts is not part of Java EE specification. You are supposed to add it. So in the web.xml, you have to specify this information, JSP config, and then you have to use this taglib, then specify where are the libraries, TLD location. This has to be told to your Java that is war file, otherwise your server will complain and say that I can't get these tags. I don't know how to interpret this tag. If we never bothered about it, and also I have not taken the pain in explaining that thing to you, because if I had explained all those things right at the beginning, you definitely would have found that Struts is too much. Okay, but they are there. Now we are going in slightly in depth. We know that things are working fine, but some inner depth into how the framework really works. So you are supposed to use this in the web.xml. This is required. First one specifies the tags to be used, and the second one specifies where you can get it. I've shown you just 2 slides before that. I've shown you that your structure of the project must be in this order, even though when you see the structure of the project in your NetBeans, you will find that your libraries are actually kept as a separate folder. Now this is done by the NetBeans. When you run the project, it will compile it and it will create that structure for you. So it will not say anything to you on its own. It will put these libraries at appropriate place and creates a war file for you, and it deploys it onto the server. That it does it on your own. But suppose if you get a job in one company that is not using NetBeans, and that will be true in 99% of the time, you will be using definitely the Eclipse. The Eclipse may not do that thing. And when I say Eclipse may not, because there are some plugins that are available to Eclipse that will automatically do it. But if you join a company and they say that you are not supposed to use the plugin, in that case you will be forced to go to that XML find this web.xml and maybe copy paste it, or you do anything, but that's required. Okay, this part is required. If you delete this line and then try to run your application, it will not compile. So in your web.xml, these 2 lines must be required. They will give the location where those libraries are available. Even though I told you, when you use a tag, appropriate Java code is added behind the scene. That Java code must be available. Somewhere you must tell the server that somewhere that Java code is available, just use that Java code. Okay. So let's come back to what is there in the HTML tag. You are already familiar, so I won't go in depth into it. HTML tag has buttons, submit, cancel, checkboxes, errors, forms, hidden. You've already used them, so it's not going to be a difficult task. You can also create radio buttons. We have not used them. You can also use the rewrite. Okay, some of them we will say definitely today itself. We are going to say how to use the select. Select is your drop down box, how to create the drop down list, how you created a drop down list, the spinner list in the Android. If you want to create that kind of drop down list, not the same type, but similar kind of appearance in your web page, you have to use the select. We will see them in the lab itself, rather than me spending some time and telling you how it works. I think I have a sample application that actually shows you that select. So you notice over here, select, specify the, this is the one we are going to do it. I just created a dummy because yesterday I was free, so I just executed that just to tell you, just to verify that things are working. I changed the IDE. I was using NetBeans 7.3 beta version. Now they have released the full version, so I updated it to full version. So just to verify whether the things are working, the Struts is really working. I just executed now. This is, I'm going to do it again. This is the epitome continuation of the epitome website, wherein you are asking the user to register for a given course. How does it's going to appear? I won't be executing it because I am still encoding from yesterday. So I will just show you. I think you will be able to get the idea. It's going to appear like a drop-down box with the arrow like this. And when you click on that arrow, you are going to get the list like select one, coding, and so on and so forth. This list is going to appear here. When you click on that, you're going to get a list, and you can select something out of it. If you are very curious, come to the lab. We will do that exercise today itself. We'll be able to appreciate what it is doing. Okay. The next one is text and text area. We are already familiar. Text area is a slightly larger one. It can accommodate more than one line. So suppose if you want to get a feedback from the user, you can't just show a text box like this. They can't write the feedback in one line. So if you want to get a slightly larger line, then you go for this text area. You have to specify how many rows will be there within this text area and how many columns. How many characters will be there in one line and how many such lines will be there. So row and column need to be specified. Okay. Now whenever you are using the HTML, I have told you that we are avoiding the scriptlets, or we are avoiding the direct Java, but it is, you know very well, you are writing Java after all, and you can't get away with Java. So you are in the Java world and you can't say that I'm not going to use Java. Somewhere you will have to use Java. If you want, you can anytime get the Java. You notice that this is the ordinary Java that I'm writing. It is possible. What is so strange about it? This is this HTML tag that I'm using, HTML checkbox, and this part is the Java. You can mix them. It's going to work fine. We will not get any error. So if you can't avoid it, you can anytime use it. It doesn't mean that I am using Struts and everything has to come from Struts. After all, Struts is based on Java, and somewhere or other places you will have to use it. Now the other one is if you want to show the message in a specific language. So suppose if somebody is coming from China and I want to show it in Chinese. In that case, I can say locale equal to true. We have just created HTML tag. When you create this HTML here, I have not created HTML, if you notice this one. Okay. You can specify here the language equal to true, specifying that you this is a different one. When you say locale equal to true, there you are saying that if the person specifies a exclusive location. If the browser says I am from India, when you send a message, when you send a HTTP packet from your Internet Explorer or from the Chrome or Firefox or anything, you know very well any packet will contain some header information that is there. This is your payload. That's the data that you are sending. Maybe your name, your codes, your username, your password. They are all this part. Apart from this, the browser automatically sends some information. Browser will specify what is the name of the version of the browser, the name and version of the browser, which type of message it can handle, what is the version of HTML that it can interpret. So can it interpret HTML 1.4? If you have very old browser, it may say that I cannot handle 1.1 HTML 1.1 specification. So do not give a code that is in HTML 1 above 1.1 or above 1. I will not be able to interpret it and show it to the user. So that message is part of the header. Apart from this, the browser also specifies from which country this message is being sent. Now, how does the browser knows which country and which location? You are already in your Windows around somewhere here in the control panel. You have already set the country. You know very well if you change the date and time, somewhere you get that change country and change location. The browser asks the Windows, can you give me the location that was set? Okay, you know very well you can change the time zone, and the time zone says that you are in India. So it says that information, that local information, that is also sent along with the message. So whenever the server receives that message, it will come to know, or if you have created the resource files in different languages, it will pick up the not the default English, it will pick up the other version. So when you use this Internet Explorer, for example, and if you go to this Google, it will take more than, I can't start too many things because I don't know this. Again, I don't want to tell that same thing again and again. This is the first year wherein it is taking. Yesterday morning I started, so I was very happy that there is no class, so I started encoding it, and yesterday full day it was on. Okay. So I was not doing anything, I was correcting your papers, because your paper, when I saw your paper I was a bit shocked to see that even MCA student write like that. Some of you, your seniors might have told you that I don't check the paper, but it is not true. Okay? It depends on the batch. Okay? For your seniors or the MSc batch, I was not verifying their paper because their answer was guaranteed to be correct. It is guaranteed. Almost all in the batch, it is guaranteed. Okay, so let's look at here. But in your case, it is not true. So I tried to type .com, and it shifted me to co.in. So how did it know that it should go to that? So it went to the .com, the main Google server, and the Google server received the packet, and in the packet it was said that my country is Calcutta, India. I have set the country location. So it knows that this request is coming. Again, there is the other way, that is the IP address itself can be tracked down. Now this is the simplest way to do it. When the browser says I'm from India, it is redirecting me on its own directly to the co.India. Now if I try to do that co.pk, and you will notice it should have com.pk or not is Pakistan now. Anybody is there who are familiar with the I think co.pk was. Let's search in the Google So what was? Yeah, I thought it was com.org. So if I forcefully go to com.pk, it will show me in their specific language. Now, what is happening here is so you notice that is in Pakistan, and you might have got here. If you notice, if you were in India, it will give you different languages. Do you want to show it in Kannada, English, and other? Now, it may. I think they don't have regional languages there. So I will just go here just to tell you that in India, at the bottom it will show you. I'm lucky it is going to show. See this one line, at least that one line, you get that thing. Okay, so this page has been slightly modified. How they are doing it? They are verifying if location based on that you are changing. Now, what is important here is not okay. You got Google and you are showing us what is how to go to Google. It's not the thing. What is important here is you are changing the messages based on the country. Even though it is in English, but still you have the way in which you can change it. And that is what is achieved using the locate. When you say locate, you don't have to do it. But remember, you have to write those messages. You don't have to check from where you are coming. Struts will do that thing automatically for you. We will do one exercise. We are lagging in labs as against the theory. Do one exercise in ordinary Java to see how the ordinary Java does it. And all of them are taking that Java itself. The idea, the resource bundle and using locate is there with Java itself. The ordinary core Java has this thing, and all of them are just using that facility. Okay, the next one is the base. You can use HTML base. I'm not very sure whether you have used it, but if you have created this applet, at least you might have used something called as base. Now, what is the use of this base? Whenever you are using a page, if you create like this, you will notice over here, it's a relative reference. If you create a reference like slash and index, not the absolute location, I can use what can be a absolute location. Absolute location is www.mysite.com slash maybe student slash my page, maybe JSP. Okay, this is the full absolute reference. But most of the time, what we do is we just write my page dot JSP. Okay, we assume that this is the base. So because it came from the same location, the browser automatically figures out from where it got the request and automatically adds this slash page to the base. Base is from where it received the request, and these are relative references. With respect to the base, it adds. But sometime we may like to change the base. What is the meaning? Now, when you have the applet or when you have some Java or any other component, we may not like to go to this student. Instead, your applet may come from a separate folder. So you may have a folder in your site. So I can say my site .com slash, then say applets, and maybe your applets are there. So your page is coming from maybe students folder, but your applets may come from some other location. In that case, you must tell the browser that change the base. Do not, browser always assumes that this is the base because I received the request from the student, so that's the base. Next time I am supposed to send it there. If you want to change the base somewhere in middle, if you want to say that don't go here, instead get it from some other location, you can always use the base. Base is part of the HTML specification. The base is also available in your struts. In struts, if you want to do it, then it is HTML base. So that's the difference. If you want to do it in ordinary HTML, that is ordinary web page, it is just write the base, how you write HTML head, the body and other things, base, and specify the base location. Okay. What are the things you can do with the struts base? You can change the reference of the base with respect to your JSP page. You can say that all the reference must be calculated with respect to some JSP page. That is possible. Or you can even say that the server location should be something else. Do not forward the registration form to this server. Forward it to some other server. Maybe you have two servers. One just shows the page. The other one handles the registration. In that you can do it. The other one is the target. Target is, I think you are already familiar. Whether you want to show it in the same window or in a different window, or if you have created frames, on which frame you are supposed to do it. The next one is to create a link. You are already familiar. Link is nothing but creating a hyperlink. You can easily create a hyperlink. Let's look at how you can create a hyperlink. For example, if you want to create a hyperlink for some location, you just start HTML link. href is equal to something. This is no different from your ordinary anchor. So you have used the anchor tag, href equal to something, then visit my site /a. This one is identical to that. So how is it going to appear? In your page, it's going to appear like my site with a underline to say that it is a hyperlink. So when you click on it, it's going to take you to this location. Whichever that location you type, it's going to take you there. It's going to create a hyperlink. But that's not the reason why we are using it. The reason why we are using it is we can actually forward it to a separate location. For example, I'm going to go to the struts.config. In the struts.config, I have some forward. For example, I have this, some location is there. Okay. Not this, this is my forward. I have a action mapping. Now here in the action mapping, where is that smashed? Just okay, you have the path here. So this says register.do. If somebody writes register.do, it's going to go there. Now if you want this kind of forwarding, so when I click on a hyperlink, I want it to go to that location, you can do this. I won't type the entire code. Now for example, you have a forward like index.jsp. If you want to go to that index.jsp, you can just say href and not this one, HTML link forward to index. This is how you can create a hyperlink. Now again, I won't waste my time because otherwise it will take a lot of time in explaining the theory. Maybe in the lab I can show you. If you remind me, I will show you how you can create that thing. I think I will show you one example. When I tell you how to forward, how to upload a file from the client place onto your server, then I'm going to use this tag later. For now, if you are too curious, wait for maybe one or two practicals wherein I will show you how to upload a file and how to get the link to that file. I will use the HTML link there. As of now, I won't use that. So the next one is creating HTML form. I'm going to skip that thing. Creating HTML form, you have already created it in your lab, so there is nothing much. And setting a property, you have done it in the lab, so it's not a big thing. Select property, today you are going to use it, so I will skip that thing. Then using the password, you know very well what's the difference between a text box and the password is. Both of them are text box itself. When it is password, what you type is not shown. Instead of that, it just shows you stars or dots. So that is password. Then we have seen submit. We have done this in the lab, so I will just skip. But you can get the checkbox. You can have the hidden fields. We have done all of them. Now to upload a file, we will do this exercise definitely. You get HTML file and set the property. Okay, this is what you are supposed to do it. As of now, just a brief introduction. In the lab, you will come to know how this thing can be directly used. So you have to say that HTML file equal to property. There is very important thing. Whenever you are sending a file, you must tell the form that there are more than one part in the form. So this one information is required. Whether it is a struts or whether it's an ordinary HTML, you have to tell the browser that this form will not only take the text that you are typing, so you may have some text boxes, some radio buttons and other things. It will take all those values. Apart from this, it will take one more piece, and that piece is the file. So it's a multi-part form. You have to specify this. If you don't specify this, most of the browser will get confused and they will send a wrong signal to the server side. So you are supposed to say that the type of it that you are sending is a multi-part form data. So this is very important whenever you are sending a file. Whichever file it is, you are sending more than one, that means to say that it's multi-part. Then you specify that the property is file. Okay. In the action form where you receive the file, you have to use a object of type file form file. This, who created this, it's part of this struts. You don't have to bother about it. When the file is sent to the server, how do you receive that file on the server is you have to say, remember I gave the I am sending this from the HTML page to the other side. So from the form, I just say get file. I get a object of type form file. From this, get the data, that is, get the binary data using get file data and do anything after that. So if it's an image, get the bytes out of it and store it to a or stream it to a disk, create a file out of it, or do anything out of it. After this, once you get the data, that is byte data out of it, remember whether it's a text file or whether it is an image file or whether it's a movie or anything, what you get is a stream of bits on the other side. Get that byte stream, then interpret according to your convenience. If it's a text file, interpret like a text. If it is a image file, interpret like a image file and write the code for this. We will see that in the lab how to go about it. The other one is the string. You are already, errors are nothing but a string that you are writing in the properties. You have already written that thing, so it's not a big problem. You went here to the properties file, and in the property file, you have written the errors. Now, you may you might have noticed none of you have asked that question. Why this 0 inside bracket is there? It's actually a placeholder. So it's like how you write it in your C program. What you usually write: %d, %f, and other things. What is the significance of this %d, %f? When it is really, when you execute the code, that %d will be replaced by something else. Similarly, that within that 0 is like a placeholder. Some text at runtime, some text can be placed over here. So, for example, if I just instead of 0, if I supply value, so it will come as value must be 0 or value must be long or something of that type. You can get it. Maybe we'll